In the following video we will discuss the didactics of the game Connect 4. The game has a lot of cognitive benefits, but only if the instructions are clear and precise, and that's why the video is really important for you to understand and to use the methods properly. So first of all, what's the danger of the game? First of all, the benefit. The benefit is it's pretty easy to understand and come in, and it does bring a lot of joy. The danger is the game might become too complicated, and if the children cannot cope with this game, the result is that they just don't try to think at all, just play chaotically, maybe intuitively, but without a clear guidance. And that's not what we want to achieve. We want to prevent that. So the game has a really low floor. Actually, the reason why I'm bringing it as early in the order is because I want just to focus on one single part, namely checking all of the possibilities of your own possibilities and the possibilities of your opponent. But to play it properly, it requires a high ceiling. Therefore, you may also argue to bring it up later in the order. It's up to you. But what we want to achieve is to get a game where students just try to use the algorithm, try to think and follow the guide. Here are the game rules again, if you want to stop and reread them. This is an example how it looks like in school. Here the children sit across each other. I would still advise them to sit next to each other, since it benefits them in the process. And an ideal game would be a game like this. It's still not perfect. For example, red missed several moves, the option to win by moving to a3, and blue missed it as well, obviously. Instead, they played until red won through the move c5. But anyways, this is actually a good example to explain that the game is really hard for children, since they are not used to looking at all the options all together. Usually they just focus on one single part of the board, and then they just neglect everything else, since maybe it will be too much for them. So to explain the challenges for the children with this game, and it might be even the case that it's the very first time that they encounter it, depending on their age. First of all, to keep the entire board as an overview in your head, it's not easy, since usually they just focus on one single part and, for example, their own options. Next thing is the routine of checking all of the possibilities. So first of all, you need to regard and respect the opponent, that he has some moves that he can play. Also, he can win, and he wants to win, and he doesn't want to let you win. And you need to start realizing, well, he can also play, and maybe I need to understand what he wants to achieve so I can prevent the thing that he wants to achieve. And at the same time, you should also not just focus on your opponent, but simultaneously check all your options to win. It's not just you pose a threat and maybe it works, but it can come up anytime. And doing it all together simultaneously is, that's the challenge of the game. And before I explain how we should teach the children to play the game, I give you some examples on the board. So here, let's start with this position. In this position, red simply wins the game because blue just completely neglected the opponent. And we are really far off from the cognitive benefits of the game. Therefore, it's best if we explain the children what happened and that they should prevent such positions. At the same time, get used to it that the children will do a lot of mistakes, and it also doesn't matter how many mistakes they do. It's about the progress on their thinking abilities, and that's the whole part of the game. The second example is this game that explains the endurance, the cognitive endurance. Here, red played the move. It was blue to move, blue defended the threat, and now he posted an own threat, and red completely missed it. I interpret it as just red thought, well, I have a threat, then I do the threat, and now I have no idea, and maybe I can relax since blue just defended himself. And that's not how to play this game successfully. And this is something new that they need to keep their focus alive during the whole game. Obviously, they won't do it, but, they won't because they can't. But the more they try to, and maybe even every second move checking, it's better than doing just once a game if you see a threat. So the next part is something that the children come after themselves. This is one of the earlier games, so that's why they start playing on the board and just completely neglected half of the board. But something that the students come after themselves are the double threats. And here actually I meant this threat. Blue actually didn't see this kind of threat. He could have won the game anyway. Instead, what they're usually trying to do is finding some kind of double threats like this one, or if it's not possible, just making rows of 3, just for the sake of the future to get a row of 4. So that's the kind of strategies you may expect from the students. Anything else? You need to teach them, so to speak. And one of the big things that they lack is the focus to be able to see everything at once. This is then an example. It was also a tactical exercise. So the last move of blue was playing the piece to a 3, and now it's red to move. Red, who just in the very last move posed a threat to make a piece of 4, so actually this one. By the way, he also neglected or forgot, didn't see that he can win anyway by moving to h2. So he has 2 different options to win the game. And instead, all he sees is, oh no, blue had a threat, and it's better than not to see it at all, obviously. But he completely missed everything and played his red piece on a 4 to avoid the threat of the opponent. It is really similar to the chess style, where if the opponent threatens you, then you just immediately move away. It was just really 3 or 4 seconds I was there watching it, and it's not the way that we want the children to think, but instead of we want them to reflect the thinking and think the right way about playing. Now let's come back to the text part. So first of all, what we need to how to aid the children. We should explain them that they should try to see the whole board, not just single part of the board, because they can get a possible new path later in the game and not just neglect it. The second part is the central importance. By that I mean having pieces in the middle gives you more options of getting 4 in a row rather than playing on the edge. For us it's intuitively clear, but for the children it's not clear. Most of my students, at least half of them, started on the border because maybe they have less options to think about and it's clear for them, but it's our job to guide them. And finally, that's the most important part about the game, that's the decision protocol. And the decision protocol is the main benefit for the cognitive thinking, the progress that we want to achieve. That's the real value. And the motivation for the protocol, and it's not even a lie, the students that use the protocol will get automatically better results than not using it. So we don't need to motivate them to use it, we just need to explain it to them. And this decision protocol is as follows. First of all, you need to check all your options. You have just 8 options in the regular version, and try to check whether there is an options where you win. And by that you just simply need to check 8 moves, not more. And if one of them wins, great. If not, check the threats of the opponent. So just imagine that it's the opponent to move. What options does he have? Can he complete a roll for? If so, then you need to, block it. Sometimes it's not enough, he can still win, but it's already enough for the benefit of the game that they use the steps 1 or 2. And the last step, if they cannot win or prevent a win, which is usually the case, then they can make a meaningful move. And we cannot define it further. There certainly are methods by which you can play better than others, but our goal is not to make a perfect game appear, but instead of teaching them to repeat 1 and 2. And even if it's only comes up to the benefit every 4 or 5 moves, you still need to check it every single move, because you cannot decide whether this is the correct position where you need to know it or not. It has also some parallels to chess. I will explain it soon, but basically this is the main benefit. We give it to the children and we ask and repeat and remind them to use it as good as they can. So the variations and the complexity, there is a higher, more complex variation, but you should use it only with care, because it's hard to play, obviously. There are just more possibilities. And the whole benefit of the game is to using the protocol. So instead of checking 8 moves, you now suddenly have to check for up to 30 moves, or in the middle game maybe it's only 30, but you need just to check more moves of your opponent, more moves of yourself. So it's just the same protocol, but it's harder. And if the students cannot cope with 8 moves, then you shouldn't make them calculate 20 different moves. And that's basically it. If they did master the first part and they're really masters of it, then obviously yes, it's a great benefit of the game that we can make it more complex and still use the same strategical advices and benefits. But if the students are not on the level, then you shouldn't do it, at least not just purely for the sake of motivation, because it's something new and then they will have fun, since our goal is not the fun, is the strategical thinking behind it. And finally, the learning effects. First of all, the transfer to chess, in case some of you want to stay in chess, that trains a difficult concept, a real difficult concept for beginners, and it's also difficult for experts. It's a concept of calculation and active moves, and I will explain it further in the chess part, obviously, but that's something that's needed in calculation. So if you want to calculate everything properly, you need to check at every single move all the moves. And what happens is that instead all the players say, well, it's too much for me, then I won't do it at all. And instead of training it, they just completely neglect it. And this is a huge part of chess and the thing that drags you down the most. And this is one of the games that can in a reduced way already set up the correct methodology to learn this concept of how to calculate properly. Well, you should calculate everything that you can. And the objective, again, that's the routine, the application of the protocol over the duration of the whole game, even if it's not done each and every single move. It's about the best that you can play. And the learning effect is about the amount of gameplay, so how many games did you play or how many times did you think about the game, and multiplied by the quality of the application. So if you play a lot of games but you well, don't apply it at all, but just do chaotic moves, then there will be no learning effect. At the same time, even if you understand the protocol, but you don't use it because you don't play any games, then you won't have any progress as well. So this is the part. It has a lot of benefit, but we need to introduce it properly and care that the students will, well, repeat and use the protocol. And that's the main part about this game.